A Swedish proverb says, "Gurten har ingen botten." Greed has no bottom. Our tale begins with this timeless truth, set in the rugged lands of Småland, a province that only yields its riches to those who sweat for them. In the mid-1500s, after the Savage Dak War, there lived a man named Sten Hord on the Saby farm. He wasn't just wealthy. He was the last sign of a noble line that had sided with the rebel leader Nils Jack against King Gustav Vasa. When the uprising was crushed, Sten's family lost everything. With his own eyes, he watched his father publicly executed. That day, a hatred for the crown and a terror of poverty were etched forever in Sten's heart, and with them, a boundless, unquenchable greed. Nobody saw poverty more vividly than Sten. By day he wore rags and lived on stale bread. By night, his chest groaned under silver and gold hoarded by any means necessary. To Sten, wealth wasn't for living. It was armor against tragedy repeating itself, as death's shadow fell upon him. Sten trusted no heir. Everyone was a wolf waiting to pounce on his hoard. One Sunday morning, while the entire village knelt in church, he loaded his treasure onto a gilded cart. With a ghostly grin, he hauled it to Saby Bay, carved out a deep, mucky pit, and buried it. Whispering to the wind, he vowed, "Let dragons consume this treasure before the king's men ever lay hands on it." When villagers returned, they found Sten lying lifeless in his bed with a terrifying mask of peace on his face. Legend says that 7 years later, a red spirit claimed the gold, declaring it the dragon of greed's own. Every night, a strange blue flame flickers over the bay's waters, marking where the cursed cart still lies. Generations passed until a young farmer, Olaf Persson, descended from families loyal to the crown, heard the tale. Honest but desperate, his rocky fields, crushing taxes, and a sick wife left him with nothing but hope for that buried fortune. Torn between loathing Sten Hord's greed and his own family's hunger, Olaf made up his mind to chase the legend. On his way back from the Skagersjö market, Olaf sought shelter in the deep Tiveden woods, where he met Eskil, a forest sage. With piercing eyes, Eskil warned him, "You hunt a treasure soaked in blood and betrayal. Iron will not free it, but innocence will." He instructed Olaf to raise two perfectly white calves without a single black hair for 3 years on nothing but pure milk. Olaf found the calves and cared for them as his own. But poverty's grip was cruel. One day, his young maid spilled some milk and, panicked by hunger and fear, watered it down. That single act, born of the very poverty Sten's greed had bred, would seal the treasure's fate. In the 3rd year, Olaf hitched the calves to the golden cart and steered it into the bay's mud. They strained and pulled until one calf collapsed. With a final effort, Olaf reached in and pulled out a handful of gold coins. But as he did, a guttural voice echoed from the depths, the mocking laughter of Sten Hord. "No watered-down calf can lift my cart." In that moment, Olaf saw the bitter truth. The curse wasn't in the earth or the gold, but in the desperation that tainted even the purest intentions. Olaf trudged home, leaving the treasure to rot in the mud. He'd learned that a bright future cannot be built on a poisoned past. Instead of chasing cursed gold, he devoted himself to healing his land and uniting his neighbors in mutual aid. And so, the treasure of Saby Bay remained buried, a reminder that true wealth is not gold, but the strength of hearts joined against old wounds. Now, if you've been keeping count, you'll know that we've reached the end of our spooky season story. But fear not, we're merely taking a breather before we delve into more chilling tales. So if you haven't already, do well to stay tuned. For as the nights grow longer and the shadows deepen, we've got plenty more spine-tingling stories to share. Until then, stay safe and keep an ear out for any eerie whispers on the wind.